But the issue is once you send the bond, the debt is taken care of. How do I know that? They never bother the people about those years again. They only will come back and get another year. Because in their statutes it says you can use a bond to pay a lien or levy to the Internal Revenue Service.
On that particular issue, I wrote additional information in the bond when I paid the IRS, and I told them to release any tax levy that they have against my credit record also.
Yeah. So you write your own contract to them when you tell them to do it. On banknotes, and how would we be able to recover interest charged on the note? What a man did was put it on the UCC1, and then when the bank tried to do something, he took them into court, and the court told him, said, if you're going to do anything, then you're going to have to pay that note. You're going to have to pay you're going to have to pay him his down payment, and you're going to have to pay him back all the money that he paid in on this. So put your notes and things on a UCC1. Put the bank as a debtor and yourself as the creditor or the secured party.
Can you do addendum number 3 to your report file financial statement?
Huh?
Can you do addendum number 3?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it that way. You go back. You need it with just the bank. So you need it with the bank being the debtor. That isn't the way on your UCC1.
Now,
that's your straw man.
The creditor or the real man being the creditor?
The real man, because the real man's the one that signed it. When I file my UCC1, I put my vehicles on there. Vehicles are exempt from levy and tax. Does this include the state emissions test inspections? I got pulled over and was given a ticket because expired inspection. He wouldn't let me write offer on the contract refuse. What do I do? Where do I send the bond? It's in here. The ones I gave you tonight. I have a VA loan included in my monthly payment in property taxes and insurance. Contacted the mortgage company and informed them that I wanted to take care of the escrow account. They said because it's a VA loan, that is not possible. Why would you let them tell you that, number one, why would you write to them and ask them that? Number two, why would you take what they say? Why don't you accept it and return it to them and say, this is what I'm going to do? You can't take what they say. They'll lie to you. You can't take what they say as the truth. They don't ever, when you contact them, what do you become? Incompetent. Because you're calling somebody and asking them what to do. See, don't do that. Just go ahead with what you want to do and then respond to what they try to come back with. When I asked who the trustees was, they told me that there was no trustee but an investor. See, again, I wouldn't contact them. Please give your educated guess as please give your educated guess as to whether you think bonding on our property taxes might eventually land us in district court with a fight on our hands over the taxes. How can it? And what are you talking about? How in the world could it do that? The bond is in, and it's there. And who has declared that it's not? And when you get something from them, what would you say to them? You get a letter, accepted, and returned to you for closure in this matter. Equality under the law is paramount. It tells you in the property codes, and I don't want to get into, but it says in there, you do not have to register any of your property, period. And you go out and register it, don't you? But it never anywhere does it ever say that you have to pay property taxes. There are codes, there are statutes that give the state the right to do that, but the legislature has never been given the right to pass laws concerning people. Only corporations. So if you're a corporation, pay your taxes. When property taxes are in the husband and wife's name, is it okay for only the husband to sign the bond? Yeah. Yes. It's also okay for the wife to sign the bond. If she wants to sign it, let her sign it. You tell her, I accept your offer, and I'm returning it to you. For closure of this matter. I don't want to fight. Usually there's a good basketball game coming on, and I don't want to miss it because we're fighting. So from now on, do we always put, I am competent to handle this matter? Yes. Every time we return for closure and discharge, yes. I am competent. Equality under the law is paramount. That is so important, I can't tell you how important it is. You're leveling the playing field at that point. Because anything they say you have to do, they have to do. They tell you to go see a nut doctor, then they have to go see a nut doctor. And what are they doing now to people when they go into court and they start doing these things? It's an order for you to go see Dr. So-and-so, and he'll tell whether you're competent or not.
And you have to pay for it.
And you have to pay for it. Can bond be used to pay property taxes? Yes. Can tickets be accepted in return for closure? Yes. And they're in there. They're in the that's the reason I redid these, because y'all were taking them, and this time I put example foreclosure, example property taxes, example credit cards, example traffic tickets. So use that example of a traffic ticket and use it. And put in there about the equality under the law is paramount. And put the bond against the judge's master bond. Every one of them have one. What is a LLC? And how is it used? Limited liability corporation. And an LLC is just that. They sell it to you on that. What they're trying to do is get you involved in the corporate system. They'll sell you on the idea, and the bait they have is that they can't come out and take your house if somebody sues you. They can take all the business, but they can't take the house. And so they sell you on the idea of getting in an LLC, and if they knew what we knew, they wouldn't come out and take your house if you get into a lawsuit. You learn how to handle them. Okay. It just means limited liability corporation. It means that if you do that, then you're not accountable with your personal stuff. You can't, nothing you have at home can be used to pay a debt that you owe another corporation. What do you, until an attorney gets through with you, what do you write after this on the instruction for bonds? What I gave you, after this, you write what I went over a while ago. You remember? I mean, did someone not take that down?
Can you print that up next week, Tom?
Huh?
Can you print that up for us next week? We don't need that. Next meeting. Come on.
I may do it. If I get time, Brenda, I will. The time is really hard. Huh?
I wrote that. You mean this paragraph that you gave us that I accept with your affidavit and I'm returning to you?
Yeah, that goes under. That should be on the instructions for the bond after this.
After doing this? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is the bond sending the receiver to my Treasury direct account? No. If not, how does receiver discharge this debt? You're discharging it. Receiver, you're just telling him to discharge it, because it's over with. It does not go to a little shoebox that has your name on it. This is all inclusive. See, everybody all these years, and I never will forget this Secretary of the Social Security. She was leaving office. She had so many lawsuits filed on her, she didn't want any more. And when she came out, she was on a program, and she made the statement. All of these people out there think that we have a little shoebox in here with their name on it with money in it. And that someday they're going to get that money in that shoebox. They don't have a shoebox. And you don't have a shoebox. You don't have a personal account. What they're talking about, it says the Treasury will pay the debts of the people. Are you one of we the people? So there's no division of everything, and you use yours up, and this guy uses his up. It can't work that way. It works because everyone has an unlimited amount of credit. That's why it works. And they want you to get more credit because they can go further in debt. If I am the surety as a bond, does the bond allow the receiver to draw on my Treasury Direct account? I've told you there's no Treasury Direct account. I don't know where that came from. I know it just all of a sudden kind of jumped up when we started doing this, and I don't think it came from Sam Davis, but he and I are the first two that really started teaching this. And all of a sudden I see this thing about a Treasury Direct account. And I had done those accepted for value and sent them bills of exchange way before I knew about those things, and they worked. And so it had nothing to do with a Treasury Direct account. It had to do with you promising to pay. This is all it's about, you're promising to pay. You cannot pay anything. How can they get paid? All you're doing is discharging. You have the right to write the credit, and when you write the credit, the debt is discharged. Do you understand that? It's that simple. When you say, I promise to pay, the debt is discharged. When you want to fight about it, you're going into court, and they're going to get all the Federal Reserve notes you have in your pocket. Because you're like that little Rodney that's in the King, the Wizard of Id, little king, Rodney the Knight. Every time he says something, he slips up and calls the king little shorty, and the king's about this tall, and he calls him shorty, and when in the next picture he's hanging by his feet upside down in the jail. Why? What are they doing when they take you into court? They drag you, and the first thing you do is these things grab you and pull you up by your feet, and all the money in your pocket falls out on the floor. The judge and the lawyers and all them Federal Reserve notes fall out, and they divide them up among themselves. And that's all it's about.
Right.
Huh?
What happens if we don't have a contract with the Federal Reserve System, which is supposed to expire in 2013?
What do you mean?
2012? Well,
start trading.
All these bonds we buy, they offer home to the bond. Because we have no money. What if the Federal Reserve System ends in 2013, where we made a promise to pay, and then we go back to a species level?
It has nothing to do with when you go back to species. Under a total different contract, isn't it? You're under a promise to pay now, and if they go back to real money, the real money will take care of itself. You don't owe the debt. If I am claiming to be the surety for the bond, does this mean that because of HJR 192 I'm exempt? Yes. HJR 192 exempts you from levy. That's why you can write the bond to pay your taxes. You're exempt from levy. you have a prepaid account with every corporation in the country, and you have preferred stock in the federal corporation. What more could you want? Just learn to keep your assets and pay things with the bonds.
Right. I have a comment here. On the CNN News the other night, this kid that's accused of murder in California, killed a pregnant girl. The lawyer, Larry King Lapp, said these words. He said, let me tell you something. The man is innocent. And he said, and that's better than being not guilty.
That's right.
The lawyer said that.
Yeah.
National television. He said he's innocent, and that's better than being
But he
not
can't
guilty.
plead innocent.
But he didn't want to say it. I'm just telling you, that was the comment.
Yeah, he slipped, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
On issuing a bond through the U.S. Treasury is a credit to the creditor's bank account. Not necessarily. Some of them do not want to turn them in. And when you leave that thing open, they don't dare fill it in because they're admitting there's a debtor's prison in this country, and they can't admit that, so they won't fill them in. They've been presented with a bond, promised to pay, and they don't use it. That's their problem. But a group of attorneys gave that thing. They said that's the reason they won't do that. Traffic ticket speeding 81 to 70. Why are you going so slow for? You don't. Let me tell you something. You don't know what speeding is till you go to Houston. Them people are totally nuts. Yep. What happens when the judge ignored the bond and puts out a warrant for your arrest? What recourse do you have? You simply say, if you've got a copy of the bond, you do it the same way. If you don't have a copy of the bond and you find out there's a warrant, write them a letter. I understand you have a warrant out for my arrest for certain things. I'm hereby accepting the warrant, and I'm going to return it to you for closure in this matter and discharge. Equality under the law is paramount. I am competent to handle these affairs. So-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so is hereby fired, and the others, and all of these people that I just fired are incompetent. Huh? Yeah, and then you tell them to return your voucher, which means give me all the documents in the case. Well, but I'm telling you that they've always wrote to me, and I just tell them I don't give you permission to put a warrant out for me. They can't do it. You have to give permission. You don't understand. How can a corporation tell you that they're going to do anything? They'll only do it if you tell them they can do it.
Came to our house last Sunday, and I saw my rent.
Well, you don't have to get a copy of the bond.
They claim they got a warrant for my rent, but I say, I showed them. They don't have it.
Well, just take it and write them a letter. And say, I understand you say you have a warrant for my arrest, and I'm hereby accepting your warrant, and I'm returning it for closure in this matter. Do the same thing, what I told you. Equality under the law is paramount. Whatever I tell you, if you're going to tell me I got to go see a head shrink, you got to go see one. It says it in their own codes. See? Do you know anyone who got the original title of ownership for their automobile, not a copy? You had it, and you turned it in to the state. You got a copy back. See, when you sign that note, and you file that first thing for a title to your car, you give the title to the state. I'd take the thing and put it on a UCC1, and then make yourself, because you're the surety. The natural person signs for all this stuff, and you're the surety. So you put it on a UCC1, and you're going to make sure that somebody doesn't do something wrong with that. Because if you don't, they'll sell it overseas.
When you send them the original, that gives them the right to ask you for plates on it.
Do what?
When you send them the original, it becomes a feudal system. Then they can...
Yeah, they send you plates because you gave the car to them.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you did.
What if you don't send it to them?
Huh?
And send them a Xerox copy of it. What are they going to do?
I have no idea. Try it. I don't have any idea. I've never done it. Okay. Any more? All right. I saw on I-35 a truck that had a license plate that stated Cherokee Nation. Please respond. All of those Indian nations are starting to put out their own license plates and everything else. There's not a thing they can do to them. And there's nothing they can do to you, and they won't stop you with them on it. I told you, the Republic of Texas has license tags. The only state that you get stopped in with them is Texas. All the other states do not do it. We had people, one of them wanted them. He said, I put it out on his over in Mississippi. He said, I put it out on the freeway, left it. Just see what they'd do. He said, that thing stayed out there 2 weeks and nobody touched it. Had Republic of Texas tags on it. Guy living in Nevada ran around with them all the time. Drove back to Austin, Texas, and they arrested him. So they'll do it. Do those bonds, please, replace the old way of accepting for value? No. A bond is a different instrument than a bill of exchange, but they're both promises to pay. You also have a promissory note, which is the same. Both of them are on the public side or the private side of the ledger. All of them are ways of creating credit. Has nothing to do with the bank. The bank creates debt. All corporations create debt. People create credit.
Right, you said in an earlier meeting, the banks were not corporations.
They're not corporations, but they do that for a reason, and that is so they can loan corporations and be the sovereign in loaning them money. They're loaning them what you have come in there and wrote your name to, and they factor that about 8 times, and then they loan it out to the corporations. The bank they try to stay on the same level, but they're just an unincorporated entity is what they are. Everything else is corporation.
But we don't need to do both, is what you're saying.
Yeah. No. Whichever one you want to. Can we get copies of the bonds on CD? Get them from Larry. He has them on the stuff. Is it necessary to file a UCC1 or UCC3 in order to use a bond? No. The UCC example shows the debtor as state agents. Why? The UCC, what we found out is nobody in Texas owns any land, although the land always will belong to the people. So what we found out was that when you go down and you register that land, or you go down and register your property down at the county, you give that land to the governor to hold for you while you are using it. A corporation cannot own land. It can only use it. And so it pays down money, and the governor holds the land. And so he charges you a use tax while you're on the land. And that's what it's all about. So what we start doing is filing UCC1s and making the state of Texas, the United Nations, the United States, and the county that they live in as a debtor, and then the governor as debtor number 2. Made the straw man then the secured party of the UCC1. Now, having the power of attorney to represent him, you now sign for him. And what it did, it's a strange thing when we would ask for, a check to see if anyone else owns this land. As people would file these things, that list started out with number one, it getting longer and longer and longer. They'd send you a list of everybody that had done that, saying they own the land. So when you file on a piece of land in Texas, you own the whole state. Why? Because the land will forever belong to the people. You and I can't own it. We can own it to use. But as long as you own it, it's one thing. But when the governor owns it, he's going to charge you use tax, and then he's going to tell the sheriff to go out and take your land when it comes time because he owns the land. That's how the bank gets around that. One man did it. Bank came out and wanted to take their house. He said, "Take it. The land belongs to me." Pull that brick house off. I don't care. And the bank left it alone. They'd just be out money tearing it down. But that does work, and it did on a lady. That's another thing we did with her when she was in bankruptcy court out in Arizona. She went into the federal bankruptcy, and we'd had her to file as UCC1 that way. Well, she owned that land, and they never have got her house. She walked out of that court, and the judge said, "I'm sorry, I can't give you your summary judgment." This lady keeps her house, and she's out of bankruptcy. And that was that. And it's been about a year now, and nobody's got it yet. Yes?
Well, if you're giving it to the governor to hold for this thing, why would you charge a tax and do that? Why would you do that?
Do what?
If you're giving UCC1 and having the governor hold your land.
You're not doing it, not having him to hold it. You're making him the debtor. You're taking it away from him. And you're signing as the straw man then signs as a secured party. Because the straw man is the one that gave it to the governor. And so then because you have his power of attorney, you sign for him. Now you're representing him. So the land will always be controlled by you. Is there a limit to how much you can write a bond for? What is the average time to discharge a debt? Number one, in discharging a debt, it has to be a debt. If you don't know, this is not, bonds are not to go out and buy stuff with. That is not a debt. A debt is when it comes to the point that you can't pay for something. Then it becomes a debt. Taxes are debt because they're created by the state. Anything you do not create is a debt. Income tax is a debt. You did not create it. And so that's how it's divided. And to go out and use these to go out and buy something with, that is not what it's for at all. It's simply going by what they have promised, that they will pay the debts of the people dollar for dollar. But they quit calling them debts. They start calling them taxes. They start calling them traffic tickets. They start calling them, leaving your car in the you got these guys that run around town writing tickets all. Okay? Where and how to file copyright trademark. Fort Worth will not file. File it as a affidavit. Put affidavit up at the top. Declaration by affidavit. Huh? Let me tell you how to do it. Put it in an envelope. Register it. Put the registered number on it. Mail it to them. The instant they sign for it, it's registered. It's recorded. I don't care what they say. It's recorded.
Would you still put affidavit at the top of it?
No, if you're going to do it that way, put whatever you want to on it.